So today there's a lot of talk about EV pickup trucks right now. They had quite a stir in the market, about 2024, 2025, roughly. Now there seems to be a lot of interest back into the market on the EV pickup trucks because there's some new EV pickup trucks going to hit the market here pretty soon. But I'm going to focus on some of the questions here on what's on a lot of people's minds and a lot of pain points that people are asking here. So, um, if you like what this content represents here in the EV market, hit the like so we can get this out on the algorithm for YouTube and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you updated on new information as it comes out here on the channel. So, let me ask you now, are you in the market right now for an EV truck? Because, there's some manufacturers that decided to really go full time at the EV market, and some kind of like put the brakes on a little bit and, they're switching back to hybrids more. Now, EV trucks are dominating the headlines right now, like I said earlier. You've had the 2026 Chevy Silverado EV. They were almost estimating about 500 miles of range. And then you had the Rivian R1T pulling a massive 11,000 pounds of towing capacity, almost 11,000 pounds. I think they're almost there. A lot of these stats were saying 10,000 pounds, and the Cybertruck doing well. Well, if you like Cybertruck things, personally, I'm not a big Cybertruck guy myself. I just don't like the looks of it. It looks like something that you would drive across the moon or something, but that's me. Um I just didn't like the looks of that. Kind of remind me of a toaster or something. And now you have the new slate truck that's coming out as well, and Ford is releasing their Fathom, which will be coming out next year. Don't really have a lot of information on the Fathom other than, a couple things. So, as a disclaimer here, because I did get a little bit of a few viewers' comments telling me that, you shouldn't talk about the Fathom because you don't know the specs. Well, it's pretty hard to give you all the specs. I did say in some of the videos that I have some of the specs on the Fathom. I didn't say I had all the specs. Um, I didn't even know how much air was going to go into the tires at that time. But, anyways, it is what it is. So, as a disclaimer, just thought I'd get that out there. So, the spec sheets, on some of these trucks look pretty decent. So, today we're going to strip away some of the PR spin here because we're looking at the absolute reality of EV trucks infrastructure right now, and we are breaking down some of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Um, if you're thinking about replacing your diesel workhorse or your weekend gas guzzler with a battery electric truck, um, let's talk about these aspects and let's get into the video here. So, I would say before we talk about the chargers here, folks, now we have to talk about the trucks first, okay? The capability of these EV trucks, um, they're pretty good actually. The F-150 Lightning, it maxes out at 10,000 pounds of towing. The Ram 1500 Rev isn't estimated up to 14,000 pounds, is what they're saying. They offer instant peak torque, of course, in both of those trucks. Same as the Rivian as well, and the Cybertruck, and and of course, the smaller mid-size ones are compact, is what they're probably going to come out as, the Slate truck and the Fathom. So they all have pretty good, decent torque ratings and horsepower for the size of the truck, is what I say to people. And but a truck is only good as the infrastructure that keeps moving it, of course. So let's start with the positive. So let's look at the good here, folks. So the good here now is you got the revolution and the network expansion. Now, if we had that conversation 2 years ago, the charging situation was fragmentally messed, I would say. It was It wasn't 100%, of course, but today the industry has experienced a massive, shift, and it's called the NACS, what they call the North American Charging Standard. Almost every major automaker has waved the white flag and adopted the Tesla's plug design. Um, this is a game changer, of course. For years, the Tesla supercharger network has been the gold standard for reliability, right? So, but by opening up this network to Ford, GM, Rivian, and others, the sheer volume, availability, reliable DC fast charging has skyrocketed, of course. So now in Canada, there are now over 3,000 DC fast charging ports across the Tesla network. It's pretty good considering, there's not many people that live in Canada, really. There's like, what, 45 million? Uh, that's only like 10% of the United States. What, United States has like 350 million people, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 350 million, maybe a little more. Now, if you're driving an EV truck today, your map of potential fuel stops just got incredibly dense, right? So, but there's a catch though. Millions of CCS equipped trucks are already on the road. So, meaning you need an adapter to use these superchargers. And you cannot cheap out here, folks, because DC fast charging pushes hundreds of amps at high voltage. A poorly designed adapter can overheat, interrupt your charging session, or even damage your truck's charging port. So, automaker backed UL certified adapters like the Vortex series is one are engineered for thermal management and secure locking. Now, the transition to NACS is the good, but it requires you to be smart about this, folks. So, more, we are seeing real investment in the grid. Private companies and government programs are pouring billions into the electrification. Now, the chargers are getting faster, reaching speeds of 350 kilowatts and beyond. So, when you're, unloading, road tripping, or electric truck has never been easier, is what I say. But this channel, I try to focus mainly on trucks. I do the odd little SUV every once in a while. So, what brings us to the bad here now? Let's talk about the real engineering aspects here. When you tow with an electric truck, your range does not just dip; it falls off a cliff. Batteries are only good for so much miles, and the more stress you put on them, of course, like towing, your miles, if it's rated at 500 miles, the truck, well, if you're towing a 10,000-pound trailer, if you got it maxed out, of course, you're going to only probably get maybe 250 miles, maybe 300, who knows, right? But across the board, independent testing shows that EV towing range drops to 40 to 60% compared to unloaded driving. The primary culprit here is it's actually not the weight, it's the aerodynamic drag, is what they're saying. A heavy, low profile flatbed trailer will hurt your range far less than a lighter one, of course. So that big box trailer acts like a parachute, right? So let's look at the numbers here. Rivian only admits that towing almost 11,000-pound trailer with an R1T will cut its estimated range by roughly half. A Ford F-150 Lightning, the 2025 model, with a 300-mile EPA range, can drop to nearly 100 miles when pulling a middleweight 5,000-pound camper. Ooh, that's not good. Tow a heavier 7,200-pound camper, you might only see 90 miles, is what they're saying. Now, add cold weather into the mix, and the problem compounds even worse. So, combined, towing and winter conditions can reduce your range by 70%. You turn a highly capable 300-mile truck into a 100-mile workhorse, is what's going to happen to you. This changes the entire logistics of a trip. A 300-mile journey that requires 0 stops in a gas truck, or maybe one quick stop unloaded in an EV, suddenly requires 3 or 4 charging stops when you look at a trailer. I don't think I would like that. Um, and a DC fast charging taking 30 to 45 minutes per stop, you are adding hours to your travel time, of course. Now, automakers are trying to fight this by stuffing massive battery packs into these trucks. The Silverado EV's estimated range was 492 miles, unloaded range, of course. And this is a direct response to the problem. So, this is what they were trying to solve. Even if you lose 50% of your range to drag, of course, you still have nearly 250 miles of towing. So, which is much more livable, right? I know I would rather have a truck that could tow 250 miles instead of 100. But massive batteries take longer to charge, remember, and that require high output chargers to be practical, of course. And when you finally, your truck into a charging station with 5% battery left, that is when you encounter the ugly, because here's what happens. Like I was saying earlier, this is the elephant in the room here that nobody is mainstream tech press wants to talk about here. Physics layout of public charging infrastructure is aggressively hostile to vehicles with trailers. Think about a gas station. You pull in, you fill up, you pull forward, and you leave, right? It's designed to go pretty easy, and the flow is pretty normal, of course. Now look at almost every DC fast charger built over the last 5 years. They are located at the back of the crowded parking lots, requiring you to in a noise or back into a narrow parking space. If you have a 25-foot camper attached to your truck, pulling into one of these spots is literally impossible, right? Whether blocking the driver aisle or taking up 4 charging bays at once. So, what is the reality of the EV truck owner? You arrive at the station, you have to find a flat, open area in the parking lot. You unhitch your trailer, you leave your expensive camper or equipment sitting in the middle of the Walmart parking lot somewhere. You drive the truck over to the charger, you plug it in, you wait 45 minutes, drive back, line up the hitch, reattach the chains, and then you get back on the road, of course, right? So unhitching and reattaching adds another 10 to 15 minutes of pure manual labor to every single stop. You are stopping 3 times a day. That gets old pretty fast, I would think. I know I would want to do it. And if you think about the government is fixing this, well, think again. The federal standards governing the NEVI funded sites, the billions of dollars being spent to build out highway chargers do not require pull through or trailer accessible stalls unless they changed them in the last little while. The mandate uptime, power levels, and 24/7 access, but they completely dropped the ball on the trailer geometry. So some networks are, trying, of course, don't get me wrong. We're seeing a slow emphasis on pull-through stations at newer truck stops, but they are incredibly rare, I'd say. So right now, scooting your route on satellite view to check parking lot geometry is a mandatory part of EV towing now. It's almost like if you're traveling now with an EV truck, and if you're traveling in a distance, it's almost like back in the days when you were a truck driver and there was no GPS. You had a big paper map of where you're going, and it took you an hour to do pre-trip just to find out, if you've never did the trip before, just to find out where to go, what highway to get onto. So now with these EV pickup trucks, now you're pretty well almost doing a pre-trip just to go for 500 miles to tow a trailer. So what is the verdict here, really? Let me know in the comments what you are thinking so far. Are you going to buy a pickup truck, an electric EV truck, no matter what the brand is, to travel? Or are you just buying an EV truck just for maybe everyday life? Maybe just getting up in the mornings, going to work, or maybe going to pay bills, or going to the hardware store? Let me know. I'm curious, because the verdict here, I think, is the EV truck is a failed experiment. Absolutely not, of course. If you're a contractor driving 50 miles a day, carrying tools in the bed, and charging at home every night, an EV truck is brilliant. right? I tell people electricity is cheaper per mile than diesel. The torque is intoxicating, and you can wake up every morning with a full tank, which is nice. For daily work duty near your home, it is a massive cost saver, is what I say. But if you regularly haul heavy enclosed trailers across the state lines, the infrastructure simply wasn't there yet, and it probably won't be there for quite some time. Now, the aerodynamic penalty is too steep, and the lack of pull through charging turns a relaxing road trip into a logistic nightmare. The hardware is capable, don't get me wrong. The trucks themselves are an engineering marvels. I really do believe they are. Now, the infrastructure just needs to catch up to the reality, I think, of how truck owners actually use their vehicles. Now, again, drop me a comment. Would the unhitching nightmare stop you from buying an EV if you're doing highway driving all the time? Let me know your thoughts, though, because I really want to know. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.